There's already been multiple attacks on U.S. forces in Iraq earlier today. The Islamic resistance movement claimed responsibilities. There's already been multiple attacks on U.S. forces in Iraq today. The Islamic resistance movement claimed responsibility for these multiple drone attacks against U.S. soldiers in Iraq. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, well, isn't this what usually happens in Iraq? Well, the answer is no. In fact, there were no attacks like this for almost an entire year. But as soon as all of this stuff started to pop off between Israel and Gaza, attacks on U.S. troops in Iraq and Syria ramped up times 10. So now we're looking at a totally different situation than what we were looking at in the beginning. You know, in the beginning, after this attack against Israel, we were talking about the possibility of the U.S. military sending troops to Israel. We all thought it was a possibility. We went over the possibility. We heard the rumors about them getting troops ready, and now we know that it has been confirmed. We are sending troops to Israel. But now we have something else to worry about. This whole time we've been focused on Israel. Is America going to send troops to Israel? Will America send troops to fight in this war? Or now that we know America's sending troops to Israel, what are they really going to be used for? Well, guess what? It looks like Israel's not the only thing that we have to worry about. Because if they keep ramping up the attacks against U.S. forces in Iraq and in Syria, not only are we going to be sending soldiers to Israel, it looks like we're going to have to start sending more soldiers into Iraq and Syria. Now, that's not official yet. But if day in and day out, U.S. soldiers continue to be attacked, obviously, we're going to have to respond. We're going to respond by sending more troops. Maybe we'll respond by ramping up attacks against targets in Syria and Iraq. But make no mistake about it, this is already a multi-front war that the U.S. is already involved in. They want you thinking that the soldiers they're sending to Israel aren't for combat purposes, but regardless, if they're exchanging fire with enemies in Israel, because of the situation in Israel, there's all of these violent acts being carried out against U.S. soldiers in other countries. So no longer are we going over the possibilities of U.S. soldiers going to Israel. We know they're going, but now we're going over the possibilities of possibly deploying more troops to Iraq, Syria, and you name it. Who knows what's going to happen over the next coming days and weeks? I know that things have been quiet for the past couple of days. Now, if you live in Israel, you live in Gaza, you live in Lebanon, it has not been quiet. There's bombs dropping left and right. But for those of us who are monitoring this situation, for those of you at home watching this play out, everything's been kind of slow the past couple of days. Things have been quiet, but I believe that this is the calm before the storm. Hopefully I'm wrong. I'm hoping that something changes, but the green light has already been given for this invasion into Gaza. They've already gone over the plans. They already approved. They're out here giving speeches to the soldiers, letting them know that they're going into Gaza. So it seems like it's only a matter of time. But then again, of course, for the past week or so, or 2 weeks now, we've been hearing for a couple of weeks now that the invasion could be at any moment, but I don't think they want Hamas and their enemies in Gaza and throughout the Middle East to know the exact time and date of when they're actually going to start this invasion. But I can guarantee you that if you think that the attacks on U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria are bad now, they're going to ramp up times 10 once this invasion starts. And we got all of these other countries that seem like they want to get involved. In one day alone, the USS Carney, I believe, shot down 4 missiles and 15 drones, all sent from Yemen. From Yemen, which was a whole nother country that we weren't even thinking about at first. No one was thinking about Yemen in the beginning days. Everyone's talking about Iran and Lebanon and Syria, and now here comes Yemen entering into the chat. They're firing missiles and drones, and some of them look like they're aimed at Israel. Some of them look like they could possibly be aimed at U.S. warships. But either way, we're shooting them down. So we're already in this, folks. If you're waiting for America to enter into this war, that time has already come. It came a long time ago, but I guess you can say that it officially started once we started shooting down these missiles and drones heading for Israel. Now, to be clear, we already warned these other countries that we were going to do this. But my thing is, what America has been doing in Ukraine and what's happening right now, they keep saying, oh, we're not involved. You can't say that you're not a part of this war, that you're not involved in this war, if you're funding it. You know what I mean? Like, how can we continue to act as if we're not a part of this war between Israel and its enemies when we're shooting down Israel's enemies' rockets, missiles, and drones in the Mediterranean? We're in the Black Sea or the Red Sea. One of those colors. We're out there shooting down missiles. So we're a part of this war. You can't say that you're not actively a part of combat when you're shooting down missiles, in my opinion. Now, I understand there's technicalities, but let's be real here. If you were in a war with your enemies and some random person walked up and maybe they didn't start attacking you, but they started defending your enemies against your attacks, and they started giving your enemies money to buy more weapons and stuff like that, wouldn't you view them as basically an enemy now? Wouldn't you view them the same as the enemies you're going up against? So America does this thing like, oh, we're not involved, but here's $100 billion and tons of military equipment, but we're not involved. We're going to shoot down your enemy's missiles and their drones, and we're going to threaten all of these other countries, but we're not involved. So yeah, we're already involved. How far we will go with this involvement, I don't know, but if we can learn anything from the past, you know that America likes dipping its fingers in all of this Middle Eastern oil and drama. You know that we like being over there stirring up the pot. We like going over there and disrupting these countries. We like overthrowing these governments. We like causing chaos. It's something that we've been doing for a long time. So I don't see this situation as being much different, although I do think there's different stakes, and I don't view America as the same superpower that we were in the past, and the rest of the world doesn't view us that way either. And as all of this stuff plays out, I can't help but think about our other enemies. If there was ever a time to strike, now would be the time, in my opinion, right? America's weaker than ever. America is divided at home. We're spending so much money in Ukraine. We're about to start spending so much money in Israel. So if one of these outliers, one of these rogues, like let's say North Korea, if there was a time to really start acting up, if there was a time to take advantage of the current situation, that time would be now. Now, I've been telling you for a long time that I think that we're going to start seeing a lot of chaotic things happen leading up to this next election. And I'm wondering if Russia and China are just holding out to see the results of the next election, because China wants to move in on Taiwan. And it's funny because China and Russia, they constantly are out here preaching, oh, we got to respect the Palestinians and we need to respect these borders and we need to give these people their land. And it's like, okay, but do you feel the same way about Ukraine and Taiwan? No. Obviously, China wants to take Taiwan, yet they'll enter into this conversation, this argument between Israelis and Palestinians as if they have some type of moral authority when they're trying to basically take over Taiwan and not allow them to be their own little thing, right? So I'm thinking that maybe they're just holding off and waiting on the results of the next election. And according to those results, depending on those results, they'll decide what they do. Or maybe before the election happens, they'll make a move. Which one do you think it will be? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. But as all of this is playing out, some humanitarian aid is being let into Gaza, but now there's arguments over whether or not these trucks full of goods are being inspected thoroughly enough for weapons. And I don't know how to feel about some of this. Don't get me wrong, obviously I'm not opposed to humanitarian aid. Obviously, I want innocent people to be fed and I want them to have water and I want them to be safe. But I feel like there is a conversation to be had here. Because when you listen to these politicians, when you listen to our president, when you listen to these U.S. military officials, they're all saying the same thing. They're claiming that Hamas is using people as human shields, right? They're claiming that Gaza is ran by a terrorist organization and that Hamas, they're using people as human shields. They're not allowing people to evacuate. They're claiming that the reason why Gaza is in the state that it's in now is because Hamas uses all of this money for weapons. They claim that they dig up water pipes and use them to create rockets. So my thing is, you can't say all of that and then in the next breath say, oh, we're sending $100 million to the folks in Gaza. So you want me to believe that Hamas will use these people as human shields. You want me to believe that Hamas runs Gaza. You want me to believe that these people will not let, these people evacuate, but I'm supposed to believe that all of this aid, all of this money, and all of these supplies are going to the people of Gaza? To everyday, regular, innocent people? That doesn't make sense. So I'm not here to say, oh, I'm opposed to humanitarian aid, but it kind of looks like to me that you're just aiding the very people that you're supposedly fighting against. If we're to believe everything else that's being said. I mean, it doesn't take long for you to think about it. Think. Use your critical thinking skills. Oh, Gaza's under control by terrorists. They won't let these people evacuate. They're using them as human shields. They're ripping up water pipes for missiles. But we're sending $100 million over there, and hopefully it gets distributed to all of the innocent people. Hopefully all the food, water, and supplies are sent to innocent civilians. Yeah, no, that's not going to happen, right? Doesn't make sense, right? But that's what we're dealing with. Over here in America, we're going to have to watch this war play out, knowing that we're basically, in many ways, funding both sides of this battle. And don't get me wrong, I feel bad for all of the people suffering over there, but we're going to have to suffer here at home. When you go to the grocery store and things cost more, when these gas prices start to skyrocket, because boy, oh boy, gas is going up. Unrest in the Middle East, oh yeah, gas is going up. So as it becomes increasingly difficult for you to put food on the table and pay your bills, understand that part of the reason why it's so difficult for you here in America now is because we're printing money. We're acting as if money grows off of trees, and we're throwing it to all of these other countries. Oh, Israel, you need help fighting this war? Here. Oh, Israel's enemies, you need help because Israel keeps bombing you with all of the weapons we're giving Israel? Here's some food and water. Here's $100 million. Anyways, let me know your thoughts down below. If you're feeling generous like America feels, drop a super thanks down below. But while you're down there, if you want to support the channel for free, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all soon in the next video.